Adam Creighton, so a huge increase in the of new jobs created. What's happened here?
Oh, that's right, Jackson. Yes, we had 121,000, which of course is the most in a single month since 1978. The closest we've come since then was in 1991, where we had 102,000. Look, the reasons, it's very hard to say. This is a monthly series. There is a lot of volatility. Indeed, there's been quite a deal of volatility over the past few months. Indeed, I think some people may even be starting to question the methodology of the ABS. So we had, of course, last month, the unemployment rate jumped to 6.4%, which was a 12-year high. Of course, now it's fallen back to 6.1. This is obviously good news, especially for the government, which has been coming under pressure recently for weak jobs growth. If you average out over the past few months, we're probably seeing jobs growth, that's if you can actually believe the series, of about 40,000 a month.
Which is incredible, really, because after that sort of surprise negative figure last month, and also we had some consumer confidence figures coming out saying that people are more worried about the state of the economy, but these numbers tend to say the opposite to that.
Yeah, well, it's worth pointing out that the new jobs that are being created are part-time jobs. So in the latest month, of the 121,000, I think 106,000 of those are part-time, and so of course people are generally happier with full-time jobs, and so perhaps that explains part of the discrepancy there. But look, the signals in the economy generally are kind of all over the place. We've got business confidence is fairly high, but as you just pointed out, our consumer confidence is fairly low. I think the story with unemployment is basically the same one that the RBA has been telling for some time, and that is one of a gradual increase in the unemployment rate.
So the shift to part-time employment is quite interesting, right? Because it's rather telling that we are probably losing jobs from the mining sector, but there's no one being absorbed just yet, while businesses are a bit too unsure about whether they should hire full-time workers or not.
Yeah, certainly that's true. There's certainly a reluctance amongst business to hire at the moment, and I think that is partly a state of the economy, that the non-resources economy is still fairly weak. But then there are also structural issues like the high cost of labour as well. So it's just very expensive to hire new workers.
The other thing that's interesting is that the ABS did change the methodology of that series quite recently. I mean, is it that the series is not quite properly built just yet?
Well, I think a couple of years ago they reduced the sample size of the unemployment series, and so therefore you would expect some greater volatility. And last month they also what they call rotated the sample, and that may have explained part of the surprise jump in the unemployment rate last month. But of course, this is yet another surprise, and so we can't, I keep explaining away surprises every month. So at some point someone may raise questions about the underlying methodology of the series itself.
Now finally, on a global trend basis, one of the big macro issues that's rattling around is the idea that we're looking at a future where the middle class is getting eroded because the type of jobs that they do can be replaced by automation. The ILO, International Labour Organization, came out and said this is a big long-term threat and long-term trend. I mean, the fact that we're seeing part-time jobs come on rather than full-time jobs, is that sort of the start of that trend, or this is still noise before that trend really takes shape?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's certainly true that in the long run, the story of the Western world, at least recently, is a lack of jobs. Of course, the unemployment rate is only picking up people who are actually looking for jobs. There are lots of people out there in society who aren't in jobs, and that's because maybe they are discouraged, and of course, so they're not included in the survey. It's certainly true that in rich countries in Europe, Australia, and the US, the high cost of labour in those countries is seeing a lot of traditional manufacturing jobs moved offshore, and traditionally those industries supplied the bulk of jobs, especially for middle-aged men, and you do see much higher rates of unemployment for middle-aged men, and in turn high rates of welfare dependency amongst them as well.
Adam Creighton, thanks very much.
Thanks, Jackson.